Hi, I'm Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine with this week's web fishing report. Well, the weather's been a little up and down of late, between the rain, then the sun, then back to the rain. It's made some areas difficult to fish. If you're fishing around a local river, for instance, they're mostly in flood stage right now, but other than that, fishing's been pretty good this week. While I haven't had a chance to quite get out and score my first striped bass of the season, this is the latest that I've had my first stripe of the year in quite some time, I did get out and do some shad fishing last week with my friends Steve and Chris Hopkins. We had a pretty good morning, ended up with about a half dozen feisty shad. It was exciting to get out and do this little something I haven't done in quite a few years, but I'll sure to be out again this week. Also on the news side of things, this Wednesday, May 7th, I'll be speaking at the Connecticut Surfcasters meeting in Madison, Connecticut with Rhode Island field editor John Hanasek. We'll be discussing the topic of active chunking the surf, which also coincides with an article that I've got out in the May monthly edition of the magazine. These meetings are free and open to the public and are held at the Madison Surf Club in Madison, Connecticut on Surf Club Road. So I hope to see you there. Moving right into the fishing reports. Start off with Connecticut. There's a reoccurring theme this week that came up, and that's the close of the spring blackfish season, and few, if any, fish were landed according to most of the tackle shops we spoke to. Perhaps the state should reconsider the timing of this season and either extend it a little bit further into May or forgo it altogether, as it's been a little more than a waste of time just about for the last few years. Fishing Factory 3 reports that trout fishing in the Salmon and Farmington rivers have been very good lately, and with the continued stocking that the state plans, it should only increase and get better with each passing day. River's End down in Old Saybrook reports some very good numbers, although not really any size yet, of striped bass being landed at the DEP dock. Anglers are getting them both on worms soaking on the bottom, as well as on soft plastics and little jigs cast in and around the pylon. So it's worth a shot. Get down there, get some of your first striped bass. Perhaps I should take note and get down there myself. Over in Rhode Island, Watch Hill Outfitters reports that the schoolie striped bass have become much more active in the Pawcatuck River, and several locations from Watch Hill Harbor up the Route 1 bridge have been producing well. These are the general spring spots that the guys get the striped bass, so it's good to see that they're really starting to filter in through these areas. The Francis fleet got out last week with the opening of fluke season in Rhode Island, and they fished around the waters of Block Island Sound. They didn't get too many fish. They were able to scrape up a handful of keepers. The water out there is still pretty cold, but that really should start going any day now. As we're getting these warmer days, the water's going to warm up, the fluke should get in on the bite. Early season is when you generally get a lot of those bigger fish as well, so it's well worth it to hop on a headboat and head out for some fluke. Galilee Bait and Tackle reports more schoolie bass along the beaches last week, as well as some good catches of winter flounder in the Narrow River. That's always a good thing to hear about. Also, they wanted to let everyone know that the state boat launch in Galilee is closed currently as the DEM works to upgrade the launch facilities. It's expected the launch will reopen by Memorial Day weekend, and they don't want anyone traveling down, planning to launch their boat, being unable to do so. Up in Massachusetts waters, tog reports remain very slow and spotty as the local waters are warming at a painfully slow rate. Again, hopefully things are going to warm up and it should kick into gear, as spring fishing for tog is always very good. Squid boats finally started to work the areas off the Falmouth and Hyannis beaches. Is a good sign of the stripers as well as bluefish kicking into gear shortly. We haven't had much of a squid run up there in the last couple of years, but it sounds like from the people we spoke to this week that they actually found some squid finally, so hopefully there'll be a good run this year. Canal Bait and Tackle pass along word of some big schools of mackerel in the east end of the canal, as well as a mixed bag of sea herring and alewives in the same area. Still mostly small striped bass are feeding on them, but that should break wide open with all this bait. As soon as some of those migrating schools of bass find them, things will be going great in the canal. And lastly, according to Tomos Tackle, schoolie bass are starting to be caught with greater frequency in the Salem area, and the flounder fishing is slowly getting better with each day. Actually, one more note. Blackbeards up on the Cape reports the first confirmed local catch of winter flounder in their area was landed this past week. So that's some good news, some more flounder catches. So there you have it. That's this week's web fishing report. I'm Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine, wishing you tight lines on the water.